There's a storm coming. Eamonn Holmes, I think you are 100% right in what you were doing, in the way you're handling the whole Phillip Schofield affair of what's been going on over the last week and a half. 100% right. Not because of what actually has happened to create this, in essence, Phil's cheating relationship with a younger man. That is, by the by, that's irrelevant. What's actually happened is you've managed to get hold of somebody, or bring somebody to justice, who in a workplace culture has been a bully, manipulative, at the cost of others, quite a fair few others, whilst top brass, people in higher management, have looked on and allowed it to happen. This is the reason why I think you're correct. When I was thinking about this, because I've been thinking about this for pretty much all last week, I wanted first of all to try and make sure that my story fits the narrative, and I'm not trying to get my story to fit a narrative. And I do believe it's the first and not the latter. The reason being is because, for those of you who don't already know me, my name's Rick. I live in Tenerife, but I had quite a high-powered position in the UK in a PLC company where I was a head of business, and I was bullied out of a position, and I was on a decent wage, 60,000 a year with a 20,000 bonus, and I got bullied out of my position in a story that's not too dissimilar to what's actually happening at this moment in time between Phillip Schofield and most probably Ruth Langsford. I don't even watch the show. I don't even watch it, but I do understand a little bit about psychology and how the workplace and greed can create this type of atmosphere and this type of environment, which then creates the situation that we're in at this moment in time if it doesn't get looked at by people above. And I just wanted to share my story about it and put my narrative on it to give people an idea of really how it works in a bigger company like a PLC that I was in, and how it actually affected me at the time. Before you look at a volcano erupting and you see all the explosions and the lava and the spitting of lava and stuff like that, that's all amazing to see. But what you've got to do is, for the years beforehand, most probably look underneath at the bottom of the volcano at what's bubbling and what's going on. And I think that most probably is the main catalyst of what's going on in ITV, or was going on in ITV, that was also going on in my workplace. And I just want to use my workplace as an example of what goes on. If you think of a football team and think of actually the star players of the football team, always people think of the striker. They think of the Gary Lineker who stands on the line, knocks it in and claims all the glory. In a workplace, you actually have people like that as well. In my workplace, it was in the sales team. We had those people. If you put 9 people in a row as a sales team, 2 of them would be those sort of people who are just the superstar, claim the glory, and they sell lots of cars, and people think they're absolutely fantastic. You then get a core of people who are the middlemen, the workers, who actually put the ball into play for these people, and they're the workers. And that's most probably where I fell into, that sort of category. Still managed to get my numbers in, really good numbers, quite high, but nowhere near was interested in the accolades of, nowhere near being put into the high esteem position of these people, because I actually thought these people must probably pretty much a bits of an arse, to be honest with you. Full of themselves, I most probably think the word I would use. And then from there you got then other people that are in struggle, maybe on the revolving door, that come in and out, come in and out, come in and out. I generally believe Phil was most probably one of these people that was actually up there in the top 2, and Eamonn and Ruth most probably were actually in the middle, and they're actually the grafters and the workers. The problem that I had, I also came across my own Phil Schofield, my Phil, and at the time I came across him, we were actually at the same level of work. So we're in the same positions. He ran a car dealership, I ran a car dealership, both in the same area. We're both working for the same team, both working at the time for Evans Halshaw, and he was the Gary Lineker that stood on the corner and just took all the glory. To a point where the fact it was the little niggling things that he did was, our compound, where we kept all our brand new cars, we shared the same compound. And when, for instance, the launch of the new Vauxhall Corsa came out, we got allocated our own cars that we then pick up from the compound, take back to our dealerships, sticker them up, put them on the side of the streets for stuff like that, to advertise, to sell. He would actually then take my cars. And he knew they were my cars because it's a chassis number, so he knew that. So he used to take my cars. So when I went down to the compound and my cars weren't there, first of all, I had to find out if they'd been delivered, find out where they got delivered to, find out if they'd been taken, go then to the dealership, take them off his stands, tell him First of all, in a nice way, that he's made a mistake. After a while, tell him what an arse he was, and just tell him, I'm fed up of it, and I'm sick of it that you keep doing it. But his dealership, because his dealership was a bigger dealership, his numbers were bigger. Doesn't mean that in percentage-wise his volume of sales was higher, but his numbers were bigger. He was then seen as the bigger man. So anyway, this went on for years. We were to level at the same for years, every single time. And then we go off with little things and do our own little things. But what happened eventually was he got made into a higher position than me. Now, that's most probably just through to length of time with the company, but that there created then almost a bullying position in the workplace, because where we two were at loggerheads that way, now he had that position of power, and he was able to use that position of power to actually influence decisions made by people in higher management. And people in higher management allowed those decisions to be made because the results were being driven by what he was doing. Now, I genuinely believe, I think that's most probably pretty much what's happened at the same with this morning, is most probably, I'm not saying it was a position of higher power, because Phil and Eamonn and Ruth should all be on this level, but due to the years of that Phil's been there and the amount of presence he has there, most probably created that style of work environment, which he took advantage of, because of the type of person that he was. And that's what it comes down to, the type of person. Now, when you're that type of person like that, when I had my team of sales execs, and I had the two who were a bit like that, you had to clip the wings. You had to clip the wings all the time, just to keep it as a natural environment, as a steady environment. But if you don't clip those wings, then these ones, they're gonna soar. And I think that's what's happened in the workplace of ITV. So the people above him have allowed and created this issue to arise, exactly the same way as my issue, that it happened, and it was a cost of me. And this instance in ITV is mostly a cost of Ruth, and maybe certainly cost of Eamonn, but definitely cost of Ruth. Now, what happens is then, when you're the Eamonn, the Ruth, the me, what we do is we, first of all, we protest, realise it falls on deaf ears. So then realise to yourself, you go, well, look, there's nothing going to happen. It's not going to change the situation, so therefore we will then move on. So we then move on to something else. We lick our wounds, and we build ourselves back up again, and we start a new charge or a new challenge or a new chapter. What's now actually happened is, in the back of your mind, you go, one day you hope their day will come. You hope the day will come where they, even though they're soared, they fly a bit too close to the sun. And that's what's happened with Phil. That's definitely what's happened with him. He is soared too close to the sun, where it's not literally the issue at hand that's the problem. What's the problem is what's been bubbling in the bottom of that volcano for all those years. And then all the people around him now are getting their piece. And I think quite rightly so. I genuinely do. I think it's... nobody's got an issue with people coming out as gay, but people having an affair happens every day. It's not illegal. People will say it's not illegal to this, it's not illegal to lie, it's not legal, and it's not. But what people have happened is people haven't seen what's been going on in the bottom of the volcano for years. And Eamonn, Ruth, well, actually Ruth's been quite dignified about it. Eamonn's sticking up for Ruth, I believe. Dan Wooten, Dr. Raj Singh, they're actually now having their moment because he's flown too close to the sun. I still wait for my Phil moment on mine. It'll come one day, it'll come. And one thing I'll also say, I said this on the main channel. It's very, very strange. The core story's here. It starts with the narratives here by the press and the social media, and it gets bigger and deeper and deeper, meaning that people then have to react to these stories. I still think the story's there. I think there's more to come. In the meantime, I think there's a storm coming. As always, you know what to do. See you on the next one.